Jai Hind one and all. This side Arshad, an assistant professor in Sardar Patel Subharti Institute of Law, Swami Vivekanand Subharti University. And the topic we will be covering today is international trade theories. Before starting the trade theories, we will take a quick overview of the meaning of international trade. So basically, international trade is the exchange of goods and services between countries, and it works through import and export and can be done by land, air, or sea. So if you are buying something from another country by sea, land, or air, it will be called international trade. Now the question comes, why does it happen? Why countries do international trade? Well, we have a number of reasons for international trade, but some major ones are that countries trade to get the goods they can't produce, or they want to buy them at lower price from another country, or international trade can improve a country's standard of living. When we talk about international trade theories, the basic idea behind it to explain the exchange of goods and services, to identify the underlying reason for trade, to determine how nations benefit from it, and to predict the pattern of trade between economies. Well, the trade theories have been classified into two major categories, traditional theories and modern theories. In this video, we will be discussing traditional theories, which is further classified into four categories. First one is mercantilism, absolute advantage theory given by Adam Smith, comparative advantage theory given by David Ricardo, and factor endowment theory. And the modern theory we'll be discussing in the next video. Well, let's start with the first and the oldest theory of international trade, which is given by Thomas Mann in 16th century, which is emerged in England. According to him, the country's wealth can be only be measured in gold, and he suggested that a country should only export to gain more wealth. The only drawback of this theory is that it did not recognize anything other than gold as country's wealth. This theory has been criticized by David Hume in his research paper called David Hume's Price Specie Flow Mechanism. David Hume's price specie flow mechanism explains how trade imbalances between countries are automatically corrected without government intervention. Countries with trade surplus receive inflow of gold and silvers when they do export all the time, and it will increase their money supply, causing inflation, making their goods more expensive and reducing exports. Conversely, countries with trade deficit who are importing more and more, they will lose specie, decreasing their money supply and causing deflation, which makes their goods cheaper, boosting exports. These adjustments lead to a restoration of trade balance over time. So Hume's theory critiques mercantilism, showing that trade surpluses and deficits naturally self-corrected, highlighting the interdependence of nations in the global economy. The second theory is called absolute advantage theory, which is developed by Adam Smith and introduced in his book The Wealth of Nations. In this theory, Adam explains that a country should always export those goods in which it has absolute advantage. The theory is based on positive sum game, which means that both the countries are getting profit under this theory. So basically, it encourages countries to specialize in producing goods where they have an absolute advantage and trade for goods where other countries are more efficient. And the sources of absolute advantage can be natural or acquired. And if we take the example of natural absolute advantage, it can be Saudi Arabia is having oil reserve because of their geographical condition, and also like India have agricultural land for the same reason. And the example of acquired advantage is Japan having advantage in automobile industry, which comes from technological innovation, skilled labor, and efficient production process. But the criticism of this theory that it failed to explain if a nation has advantage in more than one commodity. And to fill this gap, The third theory has been laid down by David Ricardo in 1817 called as comparative advantage theory. Key idea is that even if a country does not have an absolute advantage, it can still benefit from trade by specializing in goods where it has a comparative advantage. Countries should specialize in the production of goods with the lowest opportunity cost and trade with others. For example, India has a comparative advantage in software development and IT services due to its large, highly skilled and cost-effective workforce. Meanwhile, the United States has a comparative advantage in advanced technology and machinery production. So by specializing and trading, India providing IT services and the US providing machinery, both countries can benefit from increased efficiency and lower cost. Even if one country could technically produce both goods more efficiently, this demonstrates how nations benefit from focusing on industries where they have a comparative advantage and opportunity cost. And the last theory of today's topic is traditional theories is factor endowment theory, which is also known as Heckscher and Olin theory. The key idea behind this theory is that countries should produce and export goods which can be produced by using the resources it has in abundance. Like countries can have different amount of factors like land, labor, capital, which determine what goods they can produce most efficiently. Specialization: a country will specialize in producing and exporting goods that require it abundant and cheap factors and will import goods that require factors it lacks or are expensive. Factors can be labor intensive goods or capital intensive goods. Countries with abundant labor will export labor intensive goods, example textiles, while those with abundant capital will export capital intensive goods, example machinery. So, if we go through the entire lecture, we have seen uh, four theories, which is mercantilism, focusing on export and gold accumulation. The second one is absolute advantage theory, which is given by Adam Smith, which talks about specialization based on productivity. And the third one is comparative advantage theory, which is given by David Ricardo, which talks about if a country has a specialization in more than one product, then what you can do. Specialization based on opportunity cost. And the fourth one is Heckscher and Olin theory, based on resource availability. So that's all for today's topic. Thank you again. And this was all from my side. Jai Hind.